Well, good evening everyone and welcome to TTML Division 2. We are here for round 4 of the championship as we take in the Baku Street Circuit. The old meets the new here for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. My name is James. I'm going to be taking you through the stream as your lead commentator here tonight. And joining me in the commentary box is my co-commentator extraordinaire. It is Mr. Mike Edwards. Mike, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. This is one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. 6 kilometres is going to be fantastic.
It is going to be one of those races, I think, where you can expect the unexpected. And we normally say that in Formula 1 anyways, but around a track like Baku, it is really, really hard to grasp. We'll run through the standings in just a second, but what we'll first do is, of course, take you on that lap around the Baku City Street Circuit. Of course, the old does meet the new, and I'm just raring to get that ready on my end. So, Tom, if you bear with me, I'm just trying to find it. But looking at the track ahead and looking at the standings as well, we'll come on to in just a second, but really looking good in terms of the action that's going to be unfolding out on track. I keep clicking on the wrong link. No wonder I can't load it up. Bear with me for a second, Tom. There we are. I now have the hot lap up. Without further ado, let's take you through then the Baku City Street Circuit. And we ride on board then with TTG Nathan, who is, of course, a Division 2 driver, not making it here tonight. 20 turns await the drivers out on track, of course. 75 points to Nathan's name, with 8 races, 0 podiums and 0 wins to his name. And he won't be making that 9 races run because he's not here tonight. On the run then down towards Turn 1, you can see the modern skyline filling out this Baku City Circuit. Of course, it is the capital of Azerbaijan as we now come through Turn 2. Nathan looking very nice on the curbs. We'll be hoping to try and get a good lap. Of course, there's 2 DRS zones around this track. One down that start finish straight, the nearly 1 kilometre straight, and then one down towards turn 3, which is a very tricky braking zone. If you get this wrong, you will end up possibly running wide and knocking an end plate off, or even going out the race. Nathan coming through turn 4, looking very nice indeed. And towards the first sector split, of course, changing for 2020. That was brought forward in 2019, of course, not towards where turn 7 is, where we are approaching now. And Nathan hits turn 7, another tricky corner to really get right, and then into the infamous castle section. I will say this again, we go from the old to the new, and we meet the old now at the highest point of the track, running through turn 12. And then on the run towards 13, where we had a bit of drama, of course, in Division 1. Go and watch that race back later on if you don't mind. And Nathan then running down towards turns 14 and 15, this very tricky left-handed corner. Really have to get it on the power. And now Nathan running down towards turn 16 and looking like a very nice lap so far from the Dutchman, as he is in the Mercedes, of course, out on track, and I'll be hoping to try and get a good result when he returns back next week. Nathan now coming around through turns 17 and 18, now through 19 and then through 20, and then on this long run down the straight, looking like a very good lap as he opens up the DRS zone now, and that is a lap on board with TTG Nathan around the Baku Street Circuit. And really good lap that by Nathan, and hopefully these guys out on track can do the same.
Yep, a very smooth lap there from Nathan, and that's how to do a lap at Baku. Of course, taking maximum risk through the castle, very close to the walls there, and we're going to see a lot of guys pushing those boundaries, getting incredibly close to the wall, and those walls can be ever so unforgiving around this circuit.
Yeah, they can be indeed, and we are running into qualifying. What we'll do is run you through with the drivers' standings on the left-hand side as we go into qualifying. But Mike, final thoughts for you, what we're going to see in qualifying?
I think we may see a safety car.
In qualifying?
John, that would actually be brilliant. It would come out in qualifying. I think we'll get a safety car in the race, but I think 37s has to be the target for everyone here today.
Yeah, 137s might be the target, of course, and we are about to get into qualifying. So without further ado, we've already had a hot lap, but let me take you through the official track introduction. It is now time for qualifying. Well, good evening everyone and welcome to TTML Division 2. We are here tonight around the Baku Street Circuit for round 4 of the championship of Season 2 of TTML. To be taking, of course, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, formerly known as the European Grand Prix, for one season and one season only in its inaugural year. Myself and Mike Edwards are going to be taking you through this one, both in qualifying and indeed in the race, and what we expect is going to be a really good qualifying session out on track here tonight. Let me take you through that track once again. 20 turns await these drivers, just over 6 kilometres in length, with 2 DRS zones, one down the start finish straight, one down towards turn 3, and again it's a track where the old meets the new. Quite a lot of undulations, quite a lot of elevation change as well around here in Baku, and that's all going to play the part in a real humdinger, I think, of a qualifying session, and possibly even a humdinger of a race as well, as we now go into qualifying. Beautiful blue skies, and that means high degradation.
Yep, the tyre wear around this track can also be as unforgiving as the walls sometimes. And these guys, they don't want to put too much wear into these tyres in qualifying. However, they need to get the maximum out of the track and they have to really push it.
Yeah, they do indeed. They do have to really push it. We're right on board with Volokongan, and we'll take you through then the drivers' standings, which will appear on the left-hand side. It's Mashiva out on top on 77 points, from AJ in second on 66. Wadema in third on 58, with Gary in fourth on 45. Seb in fifth on 40. Volokongan, who we're on board with, in sixth on 39. J. Cole in seventh on 34. Tionis in eighth on 32. Sway and Matibos tied in ninth on 31 points. Ryan in 11th on 25. Powdy in 12th on 20, Nathan in 13th on 20 as well, Cowboy in 14th with 18, along with Adamako and Trippy Jeff, who's not making it due to connection issues, TRT James in 17th on 16, Alonso in 18th on 14, Dan Morris in 19th on 10, and Rostro in 20th on 8 points. And the constructor standings will come on to as we go through qualifying as well, but let's run on board them with Volokongan out on track, as we see now the lap data come up on the right hand side. He's on a set of soft compound tyre, and why wouldn't you be on a set of soft compound tyre, as now Volokongan comes through the kink at turn 20, passing the art gallery to the right hand side and towards the modern skyline that fills the Baku skyline here, as now Volokongan runs down in towards turn 1. Braking very hard on the brakes. Through turn 1, misses the curb, but catches a very nice exit. Now on the run through turn 2. Two 90-degree left-handers to start off with. Volokongan through turn 2, and now running in that DRS zone. We already reach up towards 200 mile an hour as we approach turn 3. Volokongan now on the brakes at the 100 metre board, down through turn 3, then up towards turn 4, which is the next part out on track, and then we'll see the first indication of how quick he is on this lap by the first sector split. Volokongan through the first sector, 34.8, so it's actually better than what I was even expecting at this stage in qualifying. There's the flame towers directly in front of the driver as he now comes through turn 7. Remember, in Azerbaijan, they hosted the Eurovision Song Contest in 2012. Yeah, Volokongan now coming through turns 8, 9 and 10, then through the castle section, up the hill, now through 11, and then through 12, really hammering that. Nice lap so far, really nice on the power. Now Volokongan comes through turn 13, Grosjean corner, as we might allude it to here tonight, now through 14, and up towards 15, this very tricky braking zone, hammers the wall on the right hand side, but no damage there, as he now comes down the hill. I think it's a 114.5 through the middle sector for Volokongan, very nice through the middle sector, as he now runs towards the final couple of corners, through 18 and then 19, and then through the kink at 20, and that's pretty much a lap of Baku, I should say, over and done with. Volokongan now reaching towards the line in excess of 200 mile an hour already. He'll pick up to about 210 crossing the line, and Volokongan to the line to 138.7. Quite a conservative lap, but it's a lap nonetheless.
Yeah, I think for a lot of these guys, just getting a lap on the board is what counts at this early stage, and Adamako crosses the line there with a 38.4. J. Cole, though, 38.2.
Yeah, 38.2. Adamako going there second as well, 38.4. I'm on board with Gary now, up towards the line in the Renault. Let's see what he's going to do. The Irishman across the line, and he feeds into third, 138.5. So not a bad lap there so far. All the XL guys actually getting in quite early. We'll speak about the new driver as well in question now. Levan, who's coming up towards the line. Levan comes across the line at a 139.6. Not a bad lap. and we don't know a lot about him, Mike.
No, brand new driver. I'm excited to see what he's going to do out there today. Big track to debut at, and we'll see if he can hang with the guys out here in Division 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, I think it's a bit of a baptism of fire for him here tonight around Baku. Around the Flame Towers, of course, that Baku is synonymous for. And we see Seb now approaching the line in the Mercedes. And he goes quickest, 37.9, so we're already into that margin where you said the 37s were likely. And Seb out on top by 0.3 of a second, even more than 0.3 of a second. So Seb out on top, J. Cole second, AJ in third. AJ has to improve on this lap to make it a Mercedes 1-2, and then we'll be back to normality, I guess, in Formula 1.
Yeah, but I think a lot of these guys, they got a lot of time out there to find as well. Taking it quite conservative, a fair few of them on the first lap, including Liver Padden. I know I'm going to completely butcher this name. I do apologise, mate, but it's just how I'm going to pronounce it. But a lot of conservative laps going on right now.
Yeah, a lot of conservative laps. Don't worry, I'm going to get that wrong as well. Cowboy is on a lap. He's coming down toward the line now. Not sure if he might actually feed into the pit lane. He doesn't look like quick on this lap. There's a little bit of end plate damage actually running down the straight. Cowboy to the line, 39.3 goes ahead of Levan. And Sway is also on a lap. Is the Red Bull teammate, of course. Sway is now coming through, turns 18 and 19, and then through 20 out on track. Trying to run as limited graphics for you guys as well, so you can get the viewing experience. We've got the graphics to the left-hand side and the lap data up, and that's probably about it, and that's all we need. Sway then to the line, goes 9th, 38.6. Look at how close it is, though, between 2nd to 10th. 0.5 of a second, even less than 0.5 of a second, separating, what, 9 drivers?
Yeah, it's looking incredibly close right now, but as we said, right now it's just about getting a lap on the board. And for James at the moment, he just invalidated his lap through turn 7, so he's going to have to really go out again and try and get a lap on the board. Bit of end plate damage as well in turn 7. I just noticed as I was on board with Matt Tibos as he comes through the castle section and through turn 12. Runs wide but gets away with it on track limits.
Yeah, turn 12 is quite forgiving, I've got to say. Now we run on board with Matt Tibos on the run down towards turn 14, then through 15. Oh, he just about managed to get that car stopped running down the hill. Matt Tibos through the middle sector. 14.8, it's there or thereabouts in terms of J. Cole's sort of lap time, so he's not doing too bad at this stage. And Matt Tibos, of course, alongside his teammate Mashiro here tonight. They, of course, have had 27 races between them, 167 points scored for Matt Tibos. No wins, no podiums, no DNFs. Right on board with Mashiro, who's in 6th position as well. He's in the pit lane at the minute. Matt Tibos then to the line. He goes 11th in the end, 38.8. But again, he feeds into that sort of mix where these guys are going to improve. And these guys, I think, will definitely improve on a lap.
Yeah, it's always ideal just to get... Oh, so I was just on board with Alonso there. He just goes a bit too deep into turn 15, knocking off that front right end plate into the wall, and that is... It's going to be a key area, I think, for a lot of these guys in this race, just to keep it out of the wall at turn 15.
Yeah, turn 15, one of those turns that if you get it just a millimetre wrong, you can knock an end plate damage off. That's what I said in the hot lap, and that's what you've just seen there with Alonso. F1 AMG on a lap, 34.6 through the first sector, so one of the quickest first sectors we've seen so far. Not looking too bad in the Tifosis. Now runs down towards turn 7. This is not looking like a bad lap. Is there anybody else on a lap there, Mike?
J. Cole has just started a lap, and so has Volakongan, and I believe Matt Tibos is on an in lap. And Adam Mako's just started a lap as well. So we got a few who's just started their laps.
Yeah, we're right on board with those, of course, in due course. F1 AMG towards turn 15. I'm sure you guys will see the split screen feature that is going to be enacted here tonight. 14 flat from F1 AMG through the middle sector. This is a good lap from Tifosi. He's about 8/10 up on Matt Tibos. So where does that put him? It puts him second currently, theoretically. F1 AMG now towards turn 20, and he's going to get a little bit of a tow, I think, from his teammate just ahead of him, out on track as well. That's Rostro, I think, on an out lap. No, it's not. I'm blind. That's Matt Tibos coming into the pits. F1 AMG goes second. 38 flat, exactly where I predicted. And it's not often you see a James Head prediction actually go right.
Yeah, we might have to change your name to Mystic James, as we got J. Cole coming through turn 15. It was a purple first sector, but not sure what that means in the grand scheme of things. He is 310 Seb, so this could be pressurising Scuderia Seb's time right now.
Yeah, J. Cole on the lap. If you can take us through that one, I'm on board with Adamako just in behind him.
Well, J. Cole now on the straight towards the line. 325, 330 kilometers an hour. DRS wide open. To the line will come J. Cole, and it's going to be a 37.9. Not enough to take Scuderia Seb off that top spot.
And Adamako barely found the time as well, 38.1 on his time. Barely found the time through the middle, the final sector, I should say. But he did improve and he went 4th. AJ is on a lap as well. He's just coming through turn 15. Sure, there's other guys out there on track. We'll focus on Tionis, has just gone 3rd as well. 13.9. AJ through the middle sector. This is now make or break for the Mercedes man. He's really good in qualifying. Can he turn that into a possible pole position here out on track? He now runs through the kink at turn 20, then literally flat out down the straight towards the line. 203 mile an hour. Gary goes quickest with a 37.8, but I think this is going to be trumped by AJ across the line. He goes second, and he's just shy by 0.04 of a second. He improved by 0.5, but as the track evolves, AJ could only manage second, and it's that man there, Gary, who's now out on top.
Yeah, but for how long though? Scuderia Seb a 10th up in the first sector as he comes to the castle section now. Keeping it out of the wall, trying to take a tight line through 11 so he can open up turn 12.
Oh, TRT James is in the wall, coming through the castle section. Sorry to cut on board there, but he's lost his front wing completely. He just got the left part right through turn 10 where it is in the castle section. He just hit the wall with his left tyre, and that front wing has came completely off. Mashiro goes quickest.
Yep, but Scuderia Seb 3 up in the middle sector as he comes through. Turns 18 and 19 now. Adamako getting out of the way as we run through turn 20, the little right hand kink. DRS wide open now for the Mercedes. Scuderia Seb, is he going to be able to hold this time? To the line he'll come. And it's a 37.6.
Rostro looks like he's responding in behind as well. Here comes the Belgian towards the line. Can he improve ahead of Seb? Yes, he can! 37.4! How is that for improvement? Rostro goes 0.2 quicker than Seb, and in the blinking of an eye, for about 10 seconds, Seb was out on top, and Rostro has just trumped him. 37.4, he goes quickest.
That is an incredible lap time from Rostro there. And I'm on board with Matt Tibos right now, and interestingly enough, he is opting for a set of the mediums.
I wonder if that is due to a tactical ploy, I think, because obviously we speak about the high degradation around here. If there's no safety cars, these guys are going to be going 5-6% a lap, wearing off per lap around here. So let me just make that important. On a set of mediums, it's not too bad, but he'll be trying to hope and try and improve sometime. I think Matt Tibos, this late in qualifying, is committed to a strategy where he's wanted to get a bit of race time in rather than the qualifying time, and he wants to stay in the bottom half of the field.
Yeah, around a few tracks on the F1 calendar, it does pay to go for this alternative strategy. Here at Baku, it's kind of on the teetering edge, I think, as he just goes over the curb and into the wall at turn 15, and I think that is front wing damage as I go onto the broadcast cam. And yes, it is. Front left end plate damage.
Matt Tibos will not be hoping. Well, he was 0.2 down through the first sector anyways, and I think as Seb comes into the pit lane, Matt Tibos will be trying to put on a set of soft compound of tyres now to maybe just sneak it in towards the top half of the field. We have now got the first cars coming back out on track, and that is J. Cole, of course, in 6th position, 37.9. What has J. Cole got to do to try and improve? Surely he's put on a fresh set of soft compound of tyres to try and eke out as much time as possible, because as we go later on into the session, the track will evolve. So surely you would imagine J. Cole being right up there.
Yeah, J. Cole, what he needs to do, he needs to take the absolute maximum out of every single corner. Use all the track possible. You try to get the traction down as early as possible out of some of these corners. And really just, he's got to leave it all out there. And he's going to be the first man to set a time. He doesn't want to be making any mistakes on this lap because, as you said, track evolution, it can play a key factor. As this corner right here, turn 16, so crucial. He needs to get the traction down out of it. Perfect, and it looks kind of clean at the moment, but did have a little bit of a bump on that inside curb, so maybe that would just lose him a couple of hundreds as he runs down now towards the DRS line, opening it up, and now he's gearing up for turn 1, braking just before the 100 meter, I think, as he goes down into third gear, using all the track possible. Now into turn 2, just before the 50, down into second. Little bit of a squiggle on the exit, but he's able to keep it going in the right direction. Shouldn't have lost too much time from that, and at the 100, back down into second again, just throwing the car in as we go into turn 4, second once again. Also very traction heavy corner as we look at the sector 1 split. He's 200 suffering up on his time right now. He needs to find a little bit more, and this is where you're going to find all your time as we go through turn 7, and now the short little straight now towards the castle section. Really turning in early there, but a little bit hesitant on the throttle, I think, as we run over turn 12 and through turns 13 and 14, thinking about that braking zone at turn 15. How much of the curb is he going to take? He's not going to take any of it. And now to the second sector split. He's up by a 10th. This is looking good for J. Cole to set a better time, but he's not going to be challenging Rostro's time at the moment as we go through turns 19. Now for the little right hand kink of 20. Nothing to do now but put your foot to the floor. DRS wide open. To the line now comes J. Cole, and this is going to be a 37.8. He improves by a 10th, but only gets him up that one extra position.
Yeah, and he's 200ths off the back of Gary as well. On board with Levan, who's about to come across the line here as well. There's the driver behind J. Cole. He doesn't improve. He improves on his lap time, but he doesn't improve on his positions. TRC James is through the middle sector. Let's try and flick through quickly to see if there's anybody on a lap. Gary is 700ths up through the first sector, now coming towards the middle sector split. Let's see what the Irishman can do through this middle sector. Oh, and it's quick. It's 3/10 up from Gary. He needs to find the time. Now coming through, he needs to literally take inches apart coming through these curbs. Coming through 18 and 19. He'll be one of the first to come across the line as well, which might play into the other guy's hands. Gary coming now down the straight. The art gallery to the right-hand side. The Irishman now 202. There you can see on the mile, now he's going up the speed. Gary's not going to do enough. I think he goes second, 37.6. Everyone, though, is out on a lap time currently. Who have you got on board with, Mike?
I'm on board with Scuderia Seb right now, and he's 2/10 down almost through sector 1, as it looked like he made a little bit of contact with the wall at turn 6. So I don't think it's going to be an improvement from Scuderia Seb. Who are you on board with?
I'm on board with Mishiro coming through turn 7. At the minute, Tionis has gone 7. TRT James improved up a lap time. Oh, Mishiro's in the wall. He hits the right side coming through the castle section. I'm not sure if there's end plate damage on that car, and there is. Mishiro falls foul of the track once again. Seb is coming through the middle sector. I'll hook on board with him now. And Seb through the middle sector. Oh, he's found a lot of time. He's a 10th and a half up, is Seb. As he now comes, Adamako goes 4th. The 37.7 really improving here, but Seb has now got to lunge it to the line. Gary has got to hope that he stays in second, because Seb is improving. Seb at this point will be 300th off Rostro to the line. Here comes Seb. Can he defeat Rostro across the line? Yes, he can! By 600ths of a second. Seb has got pole position for now. Alonso's back into the pit lane. Matt Tibos is up by 0.6 of a second. Can he improve on a set of soft compound of tyre? We've got Mashiro as well, diving into the pit lane, I think, as well. He comes across the line. He doesn't improve. Matt Tibos to the line. He backed off and he goes 11th. And he's... Whoa, talk about that for time. And he's 2,000 off Wedema for 10th position. Matt Tibos backed off on the lap. He would have improved, obviously. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is everyone done in qualifying. It is. Gary's not improving, neither is AJ. Seb out on top. Rostro, the fans' favourite, in second, and Gary in third.
Yeah, and that was absolutely fantastic from Scuderia Seb. He was almost 2 tenths down in Sector 1. And he managed to pull it back through Sector 2. That's incredible.
Let's get that up. Let's have a look at his sector splits. 38.8 through the middle sector compared to 34.4 was his first sector on his second lap. And he only had 3 laps out there. And if he improved in that first sector, it's only a couple of corners, he would have probably gone quicker. Seb, though, out on top by 0.06 of a second. Very close indeed. The top 12 are separated by just less than a second. Rostro in second with Gary in third. F1 AMG 3,000th off Gary in fourth. With Adamako in fifth. Bashiro in sixth. J. Cole seventh. AJ in eighth. Chionis in ninth. And Zwedema in the top 10. Of course, remember the soft compound of tyres. All top 10 start on that same set. Matt Tibos in 11th. With Volokongan in 12th. Tiote James in 13th. Callboy 14th. Sway in 15th. Levan in 16th. And Alonso in 17th. Not getting a time. I've got to be honest with Alonso. He's really not liking qualifying, because I remember last week he was well down the field again. What can he do to try and get that back?
Well, I think for Alonso, it's just a bit of poor form right now, and the good thing is points are not awarded really for qualifying, apart from the pole position point, I believe. But he needs to focus on the race, keep it clean, watch out for any mistakes from the drivers ahead, make sure he stays out of his own, stay out of trouble, stay out of the wall, keep it on track, and he could find himself moving up the order on a what could possibly be a different strategy, because he has that free choice of tyre compound.
He does indeed, and so does Matt Tibos as well, down there in 11th position. Only 2,000 separated him and Zvadema out on track. But let's have a look then at the track in question before we go into the formation lap. 6 kilometres long, 156 kilometres in terms of race distance. The second longest track, I believe, on the calendar. And Azerbaijan will be throwing up in dry conditions, hopefully a race of the season candidate. You guys have tuned in tonight, hopefully for that. As we see the predicted pit stop strategy come up, 1 stop on Tracetta Hard is lap 7 to 8. 2 stop was lap 6 to... can't even get my words out. Lap 6 to 8 on a set of medium compound of tyre. As a driver and as a commentator around here, what do you think is the best strategy around here? Because if there's a safety car, I would surely think 2 stop is better than 1 stop. But if there's not, can the 1 stop work 20 laps?
The 1 stop can definitely work 20 laps, and interesting thing as well is that you can actually pit for mediums and take it to the end. You may be suffering with tyre wear towards the end of the race, and it could be a little bit critical for some drivers with a high tyre degradation on the rears, but you can do the soft to medium.
Yeah, which will be quite interesting to see. We'll hopefully see what the guys have gone on to, and you can see there actually on the graphic on the left hand side, you can. Alonso being the exception rather than the rule, and James as well on a different set of compound of tyres. Matt Tibos, Volokongan, Callboy, Sway and Leifan have played it safe. They've gone right down the middle on a set of medium compound of tyres. James has gone onto a set of softs. He wants to try and make up positions early, and Alonso on a set of hard compound of tyres out on track. Remember, coming into tonight, we'll get the graphics up for you now in the driver's standings. The top 3, Mashiro out on top, 77 points. AJ second on 66, and Zwedema in third on 58 points. That is the state of play coming into tonight. And looking at the drivers out on track, Mashiro starting 6th, AJ starting 8th, Zwedema down in 10th. It's advantage Mashiro, isn't it?
It is advantage Mashiro, however, it's all about surviving this track. And I think that's going to be going through the mind of Mashiro right now. It is very easy to ruin your race on lap 1. And this track, more than any, well, almost more than any, with the exception of perhaps Monaco and Singapore and Vietnam, this track can be one of those tracks where first lap it could all be over.
Could we throw up a 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix once again? Remember Stroll? Remember Bottas to the line? Yeah, we could get that here tonight. Quickly though, Mike, who's your top 3?
I'm going to go with Scuderia Seb, Gary, and I'm going to go Matt Tibos to get a podium.
Matt Tibos from 11th on the grid to get 3rd. It's going to be fascinating to see what is going to unfold out on track. We are just moments away here in Baku for round 4 of the TTML Division 2 Championship, and those 5 red lights are going to come on, and now they have came on. It is now 5 red lights. Long hold, but it's lights out and away we go. Seb gets a very good start. We see a bit of a glitch going on with the standings already, but Seb has actually been mastered by Rostro. Rostro hits the inside coming through turn 1, and Seb is caught in a spin, and I think that was Adamako caught up in that as well, but Seb has got a great start. He leads coming through turn 2. Gary in second. Mashiro around the outside of F1 AMG. In third, there's been a yellow flag in sector 1. That looks like a Ferrari that's been caught up. That's Rostro dropping down the field, possibly to the back. We see side-by-side racing going on between J. Cole, I think, as well. F1 AMG down the inside of Mashiro. J. Cole down the inside of Adamako. Adamako really being hounded by Tionis as well. Further down the field, and Tionis puts him into the wall slightly. Oh, goodness me. But Seb leads. Gary second. F1 AMG in third. What a start, though, by Seb. He must have at least 1.5 seconds over Gary at this early stage of this race. That is a tremendous start.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic from Scuderia Seb off the line to get that gap he needed. Everyone else behind kind of getting a little bit tripped up over each other.
Oh, Tionis is round! Adamako and Tionis, they've had a bit of a cut. They're coming together, coming through there. And Tionis, who was going slow, I think he hit the inside wall coming through the castle section. And he's round, he's right at the back of the field. Adamako, I think, has picked up damage there as well. Zwadema has gained a few positions out on track. The trials and tribulations of Baku catching everyone out. But Seb leads 1.2 seconds from Gary in second, F1 AMG in third. We're right on board with J. Cole now, who's on the back of Mashiro for 4th position. Matt Tibos as well, looking quite close to Adamako, and in fact he's got the move done even before turn 18. And Matt Tibos is through and he's up into 8th position. I would feel Adamako will come in to the pit lane if he has picked up any damage. We see J. Cole trying to close in now on Mashiro. Seb, of course, sets the new fastest lap of the race with him being out in front. But at the end of lap 1, Seb does lead from Gary in second and F1 AMG in third. Really good start, and the top 2 really beginning to pull away.
Yep, and we got Livan and Volakongan having a bit of a battle right now. I'm not sure for what position, because we do have a bit of the glitch going on with the leaderboards here, but here comes Lever Pandan. I butchered it again, haven't I? Right down the inside he goes into turn 3, and is he able to pull it off? Yes, he is, and up ahead of Volakongan now.
He is indeed. Just seen that in the background, right on board with Matt Tibos. We'll come on board with that now. Volakongan then down a position. He's got Corboy all the back of him and Alonso further down the field. We'll turn our attentions, though, to the gap for third, because Mashiro, that is definitely not 1.7 seconds out there on track as F1 AMG tries to get closed down by the 2-time TTL F1 League 2 champion and indeed the championship leader Mashiro. And out of the championship contenders early on, Mashiro's got a very good start. We are on lap 2 out of 26 here in Baku. F1 AMG gets very close to the wall. J. Cole right on the back of him there as well. They're coming through turn 16 once again. There's Seb who leads by 1.3 seconds. Gap is just closing down slightly. There's a predicted pit stop strategy. Lap 8 to 9 now on a set of hard compound tyres for Gary. That's for a 1-stop. Lap 6 to 9 and lap 16 to 23 respectively on a set of medium compound of tyres. Corboy and Volakongan having a really good battle though.
Yep, and this is crucial. Gary right now using his ERS to get back within that DRS window of Scuderia Seb there. And I believe he's going to have DRS now on the run down into turn 3. Yes, he will. So this is crucial from Gary.
Yeah, Volakongan into the pit lane as well. I think he picked up damage as a result of a collision, I think, with the wall rather than with somebody else. Volokongan then into the pit lane to get a wing repair. He's going to be right at the back of the field, I think, but he puts on a set of soft compound tyres, which is quite interesting. We'll see where he's going to rejoin. I think he's going to rejoin just behind Rostro out on track, if I'm not mistaken. Rostro coming through turn 1. He might be just ahead, actually, Volokongan, and he is. So Volokongan, even with a little bit of damage, has got ahead of Rostro. And Rostro, how important is that later on in the race?
That is going to be important for Volokongan. He is going for what should be a definite 2-stop now. However, it'll be interesting to see what tyres he is going to go on to when he makes that second pit stop. Will it be the set of the hards or the set of the mediums?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. I think if he can get those tyres to around lap 12, lap 13, he will have a chance of getting the mediums to the end. But if he doesn't, I will play it safe. I will go for a set of hard compound tyres. You can see on the gap there, it is beginning to close down. Gary, I think, is just within DRS on Seb running down the straight. It's a second, actually. He just dipped under to 9/10 of a second. And now Gary will try and use up that DRS to try and close in on the guy ahead, which is Seb. Seb leads in the Mercedes from Gary in the Renault in second. F1 AMG third, but Mashiro responds. New fastest lap of the race, 1:42.3. He's now in fourth position. And the top three, or the top four I should say, are separated now out on track by about 2.5 seconds.
Yep, and unfortunately for Matt Tibos, he has dropped out of that DRS window as Redeemer, who is closing up ever so slightly to AJ for 6th place right now.
Yeah, and for them, obviously, being a championship contender, AJ as well, championship contender. We'll run and bother with TRT James and Adam Acko, who are through turn 1. They're on a set of medium compound tyres, fresh out the pit lane. And Adam Acko, of course, getting caught up in that incident with Tionis running up through the castle section. I'm sure you caught the split view point of view as well on that. Adam Acko now running on the back of James, and the Brit against the Irishman. He's going to have a go down the inside and towards turn 3. He's got to be careful that he doesn't put James into the wall. That was very close to the wall contact there, but space is provided, and Adam Acko is through, and he's up into 13th. I think that slight hit with the wall has just dented James's confidence slightly, but Adam Acko makes light work, and he's through, and he's up to 13th.
Yep, and the man who's on a charge right now, Mashiro, all over the back of F1 AMG. And what we got right now, we got a little bit of a train going on here, but Gary just dropping outside of that DRS window, Oscar Seb, and he just managed to get AMG out of DRS as well. So Mashiro could be flying to possibly challenge into turn 1, as he has the overspeed. Is going to look to the inside. Yes, he does. To the inside he'll go. Can he get slowed down side by side through turn 1? And they're going to be side by side again for turn 2. But Mashiro will have the inside line and priority and takes that position.
Yeah, good move that by Mashiro. I'm on board with Callboy. Levan's just lost control of the car slightly through turn 1, and now Callboy could have a go through turn 2, but I think he'll back off this and run down towards turn 3. He's on the back of the fin. Sister car against sister car. It's Red Bull against AlphaTauri now. Surely Callboy is going to use the overspeed down the inside, now on the straight, and Callboy makes light work. Says bye-bye to Levan and disposes of him as if he wasn't there. Callboy through, and he's up to 10th.
It's great for Callboy to get himself up into the top 10. And at this point in the race now, those rear tyres are going to be very worn on the softs. So advantage just about starting to swing towards the medium compound runners, as we've got Mashiro just getting a little bit wide there, but F1 AMG gets a little bit of a snap on the back end coming out of turn 12, unable to pressure him and will run into 15. But J. Cole, he's just lurking back there at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a second off. He was about 8/10 off actually coming through the castle section, I think. And Mashiro lost the time. It's now 2.5 seconds the gap. I wouldn't be surprised actually if there's a little bit of damage on that car because of the gap that he did lose. I'll come on board with that battle now. If you can watch something else, that'll be great. As now F1 AMG closes in on Mashiro, running down towards turn number 1. Has he got enough to try and get the move done? No, I don't think F1 AMG is even going to push this one. And he backs off even before he gets there. J. Cole, interestingly though, into the pit lane from 5th.
Yep, early stop there for J. Cole. This is definitely going to be for the hard tyres to the end, I would assume. But the undercut can be very good around here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him jump Mashiro and F1 AMG in the pit stop phases, as we got Matt Tibos now getting through on Zudema for 6th place. So as I said, those medium tyres now starting to come into play.
But Volokongan on a fresh set of softs has actually just gone down the inside of TRT James down towards turn 1. We're sorry we missed that, but James is now behind him. Volokongan is through. Looked like he was actually on the outside line there, and he's through and he's up into 14th position. James, though, is going to try and come back at the guy that is flying on a set of soft compounded tyres. We've got Levan and Alonso, and Alonso's careered right around the outside of Levan, and that is why, because Levan has got left side end plate damage. And I think he might have hit the wall coming out of turn 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Levan.
Oh, he's got actually... Sorry to cut in again, he's got right side end plate damage as well. So actually, both his wing plates are actually missing. So it must have been quite a hard knock to the wall.
Unfortunate for Levan there. And Matt Tibos, he has been eating into this bit of a lead that AJ had. He's only 1.7, 1.6 off him.
Which is not too bad of a gap. Obviously the mediums are now beginning to swing. The top 4 look like they're remaining out on track. I'm on board with F1 AMG running down towards turn 1. He's not going to be close enough though. But AJ is in, and there's the pit window open. Lap 7 to 8 for F1 AMG. Lap 8 to 9, of course, for other guys out on track. So Demma's trying to close back up again on Matt Tibos, and slightly wide coming through turn 1. But look who is hunting now on the back of Zwadema. Zwadema's really losing those rears, I think. And Sway is beginning to sway his way into play.
That's a terrible pun.
That's why I'm now going to get added in the comments section with that one. Carry on.
Well, yeah, we got Matt Tibos. He's starting to close in now on F1 AMG. F1 AMG still sticking onto the back of Mashiro. And they're both very even on ERS as well. So it looks like F1 AMG has used the time behind Mashiro as he gets the back end out. Rally style there through turn 7. It's like he's playing dirt right now.
Dirt obviously being released literally last week, I think it was, for Codemasters. Matt Tibos very, very close to the wall there, coming through the castle section as well. So Zwadema has gained that gap back to 7/10 of a second. And if I've got to be honest, if I was Zwadema, I'd be looking behind, because Sway is flying out on track. He's now hooked onto the back of this 3-way battle now for 5th. And I'd be hoping that Zwadema will come into the pit lane so he can have a crack at Matt Tibos, and they can carry on later on in the race. Just speaking about the set of mediums actually out on track, Sway and Matt Tibos, they're making very good ground now in the race. When is the point that these tyres will begin to go off? I'm thinking around lap 10, lap 11.
Yeah, definitely be around that region, as we got Scuderia Seb, Mashiro and F1 AMG into the pits. Gary staying out though. That's
Zwadema.
Cool from Gary.
Yes, Zwadema's staying out as well. He was waving just to try and get the slipstream to Matt Tibos. I thought he was going to come into the pit lane. He hasn't, and now Sway is all over the back of him, 4/10 of a second away. But Sway, I don't think, is going to try and get the move done. We'll cut quickly on board with the battle developing down the straight. There's Volokongan right on board as he now comes down the inside line, and Volokongan sweeps up that position. And Adamako has to sit tight once again. Volokongan through, and he's up into 12th position. Quite an easy move that down towards turn 1.
Yeah, and just looking at the gap between J. Cole and F1 AMG, that's 5 seconds. He's lost in the pit stop phases.
Adamako, goodness me, very late on the brakes, nearly went into the back of Volokongan, then again towards turn 4, so close and late on the brakes. But Adamako, I think Volokongan now, with a Jack Jones livery, the Jack Jones sponsor on the back, I think he needs a new pair of pants, because Adamako has just rear-ended him. Terrible again.
But yeah, that gap between J. Cole and F1 AMG, 6 seconds almost. That's a lot of time he's lost in the pit stop phases.
I wonder if he's had, actually, better from wing damage. Maybe to be 6 seconds back. But we'll see, as now Sway right on the back of Zwiedema. This is only going to go one way, I'm afraid. He's going to even get him done before the DRS zone, I think. They're going to be drag racing down towards turn number 1. I think Zwiedema is going to dive into the pit lane. Yes, he does. And Sway is now through and he's up into 3rd position. And now he's 1.7 seconds off the back of Matt Tibos. Can he have a go? Seb, however, has had a go. He's right on board with Zwiedema coming into the pit lane. Seb is through and he's up into 4th. And he passes Alonso, who's on slightly older tyres on a set of hards.
Yep, and as I was saying earlier, the medium tyres, they can go the distance. Gary opting for those medium tyres, and now we'll see if having the softer compound will pay dividends for him in trying to close up the Scuderia Seb.
Further down the field as well, Volokongan and Adamako are still going at it. Set of softs against a set of mediums. Mediums are beginning to swing, I think, in their favour. As Adamako's going to try and have a go at Volokongan. Down in towards turn 3. Can the Brit get the move done? He's there. He's side by side with him. Volokongan goes down nearly into the escape road. No way he was going to get that car stopped. They were both late on the brakes. It was the pass of the late breakers. And Adamako succeeded. Volokongan purely just outbroke himself and was run out of room, I would say, to be honest, but not in the way where he was forced into the wall. It was just a case of getting the car stopped. It was either escape road or wall, and he chose wall.
That's unfortunate for Volokongan. It's going to be a long race for him, I think. And look at the train we've got forming now from Cowboy all the way down to F1 AMG.
Yeah, but I don't think this train is going to be headed by Cowboy for that long, because Seb is really controlling this race. It's like a medium pilot sort of drive in Division 1, if I've got to allude it to somebody, as he now uses up the overtake mode to get closer. Gary is 2 tenths behind Alonso as well. There they are, just in behind on screen as well. Seb is not going to close down Cowboy enough, I don't think, in towards turn 1. But look at the overspeed, he's really gaining. Can he get the move done? No, he's going to back off down in towards turn 1. Gary, though, however, has succeeded in getting past Alonso. Oh, and he nearly goes into the back of him coming through turn 1. We could have had a Verstappen-Ricciardo sort of situation. And Alonso, as a result of him nearly rear-ending the back of Gary, he's lost 2 positions. And Mashiwa and F1 AMG sweep up them positions, and they're through into 5th and 6th.
Yep, a mistake there from Alonso, costing him majorly now. And he's on that set of hards for a good few more laps as well. So this is not looking good for Alonso now. He's going to be well and truly down the order after he makes his pit stop.
Alonso, I think, is probably out there just to try and see if there's going to be a safety car out on track, because one mistake can really change everything around here. One crash into the castle section can really mix it up here in Azerbaijan. Now, I had the thought in my head that I said that, and there was going to be a safety car straight away, but there isn't, thank goodness. One ball was Zwiedema, who's on the back of James, and now the Dutchman on the back of the Irishman, and the Irishman actually catching up as well to the back of Adamako. Adamako has now dropped off. Volokongan, by the way, as a result of that mistake, 2.9 seconds off his tyres are now probably going to be shot, and he will have to come into the pits, probably for a set of hard compound of tyres, I would fear, towards the end of this race. But Seb looks like he's closing up on Cowboy.
Yep, Seb all over the back of Cowboy. Gary not too far off as well. He is going to have DRS, so Seb really does need to get this move done now and get that one car in between him and Gary. And it's as simple as you like. DRS straight.
F1 MG into the pit lane. I wonder if he's actually put on the wrong set of tyres here, or if that's a front wing change. Let's have a look. Front wing change for F1 AMG. He must have hit the wall coming through, as now we race past screen. James is down on the inside of Adamako. Can he get the move done? He hits the inside coming through turn 1. Adamako now on the outside. We'll take this from Zwiedema's point of view, who is really on the act of this. And now Adamako is through and he's on to 10. But for how long? Because James is really hounding the back of him now. Here comes the Irishman once again on the back of the Brit. He's using up every sinew of that ERS. Zwiedema's going to try and get quite close to these guys as well. But Adamako in 10th, James in 11th. They pretty much stay as they are, but for how long? Because James is still hounding the back of him.
Well, towards the front, Gary is starting to get a little bit held up here by Cowboy, and that's exactly what Scuderia Seb needed. He needed to get past Cowboy. He needed that one car just to hinder Gary's progress, and now Scuderia Seb will have quite an advantage once Gary gets past Schoolboy here.
Yeah, everyone through the castle section in this battle for 10th. Rostro was just about to hook on to the back of these guys as well. He's on a older set of hard compound of tyres, pitted in on lap 1. Gary is looking quite close as well to the back of Cowboy. They're running through 18 and 19. We're at the top of the hill, the highest point of the track, with James and Zwadema and Adamako, but looks like Gary's getting that one done.
Yep, Gary's already side by side before DRS is even opened, and he's already through and up into 4th place, and now he can try to close up on Scuderia Seb. Seb 3.8 seconds off the back of Sway.
In the meantime, I'm sorry to cut in, we might have 3 wide running down the straight. They're running in line astern at the minute. James is trying to get close to Adamako, but look at the closing speed as Zwadema as we ride on both of them. James now down on the inside on of Adamako. Can he get the move done? Adamako around the outside line, just about hanging on to the position. Great racing between Adamako and James as Zwadema just about pumps into the back of James, got the car stopped just about, and now Zwadema is going to have a real go at James. James has got no EOS left, and there goes Zwadema sweeping on by, and he's through and he's up into 11th, and there's a yellow flag in sector 1, and Volakongan's in the wall through turn 2.
Yeah, Volakongan around, and I don't know if there was a contact between him and F1 AMG. I don't think so. It looks like he's just lost it on the exit.
I think F1 AMG was about a second and a half down on him, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Volakongan is pretty much what he's done, has gone through turn 3, where he's going through now on turn 3. I think he's done exactly the same. He's just broke too late, missed his braking point into the wall. That's what I think. Didn't get the replay on that, sadly, but hopefully we'll try and get that back at some point, or get a comment from him at some point. But there's not really much going on as a result. Volakongan has let through Tionis now, and he's down at the back of the field, but we've still got everyone going as we approach the halfway stage here in Baku.
Yeah, we're at the kind of quiet point of this race at the moment, where the one major battle we got going on is the battle for 10th at the moment between Adamako, Zwadema and James, and Rostro not too far off the back of that. And we're just waiting for Gary to really start putting the pressure on Scooter.
Here comes Zwadema. Zwadema sails on by Adamako. There he goes into the rear view mirror now of the Alfa Romeo, and the Alfa Romeo now through, and he's up into 10th position. And what I like about Zwadema at this point in the race is the yellow flag in sector 2. Volakongan's hit the wall again at the top of the hill through 14. Zwadema is saving up his ERS. He is really controlling this race, and don't doubt him if Zwadema actually tries to win this one. If there's a safety car, I think Zwadema might win this, because he looks really quick out on track now.
He's got a lot of cars to go through though. Up ahead, including his teammate J. Cole, 6 seconds up the road from him. However, Gary now...
Mashiva went to the wall, coming through the castle section. I was taking a drink, too busy taking a drink as well. And Mashiro, right side end plate damage, knocked off. And that is him into the wall through the castle section. And actually looking on board with that car, he's got away scot-free with it, which is very lucky. What's Volakongan doing? Volakongan is now... I think he's keeping out of the way of everyone. Oh, he's got a puncture! Volakongan has got a puncture, rear right puncture, out on track. Oh, and this is going to be hell on earth for some of the guys that's trying to come through. And Volakongan, no wonder he's dropping down the field. He's now been lapped by pretty much the whole field, in fact, and he keeps out of the way. He's going to get that car into the pit lane, but a rear right puncture on that car, not great at all. And coming through camera shot now will be James and Adamako as they come now through once again. And we're right on board. These two, honestly, have been going at it hammer and tongs out on track, and James has got to try and use up this overtake mode. Look at the overspeed now as Adamako comes into the pit lane. TRT James is handed that one, but look at Rostro. Rostro right on the back of this.
Speaking of someone who's right on the back, Gary getting right underneath that rear wing of Scuderia Seb, but they've both caught up to Sway as well, and I'm not sure if Sway's going to be boxing this lap or if he's going to be extending his mediums a little bit longer. However, this could be a saving grace for Scuderia Seb, as he'll have DRS at the end of this lap.
He will indeed. Matevos controlling things out in front for now. Adamako fresh out the pit lane, puts on a set of mediums. They can get to the end, no problem at all. Matevos then There he is, 2.4 seconds out in front. Sway in second, Seb in third. But what you alluded to, Gary is looking superbly quick out on track tonight. Volokongren has yet again gone into the wall. Coming through turn 6, that was, I think. No, I'm miscounting corners. That was turn 4, actually, out on track on the mini-map. Gary, though, is still on the back of Seb. And what I like about this battle, Seb has got 57% of ERS left. Gary has got 30-odd% of ERS left. And actually, closes right up to the back and is right in the rear view mirror of Seb. We'll take this from Seb's point of view. There is Gary. There is the flying banana, as I like to call the Renault team. And now Seb has to defend to the inside line. Gary now on the outside line. Can he get the move done down towards turn 1? He's right around the outside. This is for the net lead of the race. And Gary, I think, has got it. He's through. Gary is through, around the outside, through turn 1. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. And the Irishman is through and he's into the lead of the race, and the medium suddenly really coming into play.
Yeah, the one thing that Gary needs to do, he needs to push, needs to get away from Seb, because those tyres at the end of this race, they are going to be very worn indeed, and he needs to get past Sway ASAP as well. Neither of them were able to get past Sway on this lap, but they have to get past him on the DRS straight.
Just seen AJ go past Alonso down in towards turn 3, but AJ nearly overcooked it coming through turn 4, got very close to the wall, but now he's got 0.3 of a second to Alonso. Alonso, I don't think, is going to give this one up without a fight. He's on a worn set of hard compound of tyres. As long as he tries to push these tyres towards the end of the stint, he could go on to a set of soft compound of tyres. And look who we've just had in another battle, Adamako and James, and Adamako's got the move done as we ride on board in 14th position. But these two, honestly, are having a sensational battle. They've been at it, I think, from lap 1.
Yeah, they seem to be stuck to each other this race.
They are. They're stuck like super glue. Honestly, we're right on board with the battle for second as well. Seb,
I think Sway just hit the wall.
Let's have a look. See if he comes into the pit lane. No, he stays out there. If he did hit the wall, it's probably minute damage. As here comes Seb on the back of Gary. Not close enough. Somebody that is close enough, though, was Mashiro, as he sailed on by Cowboy for 5th position out on track. And Mashiro, advantage for him, he's got clear air now out on track. And these guys, Sway, Gary, Seb, they're just going to start falling over each other, essentially. But what I mean by that, Mashiro will start gaining the time out on track. Gary, if he's really serious about this race win, he needs to get the move done on Sway ASAP.
Yeah, Gary right now, he is on borrowed time with those mediums. They are going to be quicker than the hards now, but they're not going to be quick in the grand scheme of things if he's stuck behind a car that's got 9 lap older tyres in him, and all he's doing is just staying right there in front of Seb, and Seb's tyres are going to get better and better as we go deeper into this race. He needs to get this move done.
Here comes Adamako down the inside, down the straight towards turn 3. And he's sailed on by the newbie Levan. And Adamako just about gets that car stopped and he's got the move done. So makes up 2 positions in pretty much the same corner in a lap later. And now Adamako is through and James is not going to have a go down the inside and towards turn 5, is he? He is! Brilliant move by James. Down the inside on his teammate. Levan had to give room. But James, at a part of the track where you don't really associate with overtaking, he's made that look one pretty easy, and he's through and he's up to 14th.
And here comes Gary now. He's right on the back of Sway, and this should be a relatively simple overtake as he moves to the inside line. And it's a good job Sway wasn't indicating to go into the pits. That could have been very nasty. But here comes Seb down the inside as well, perhaps. No, he sticks behind Sway. But Sway's gone wide, and Seb straight through.
Just catching on board with that as well. Sway just running wide there, coming through turn 4. And Seb through, Gary through, 2nd and 3rd. Alonso ran on the back still of AJ. Really surprised, actually, Alonso was keeping up with AJ at this race, because AJ's tyres, you would imagine, are 20%, 25% maybe, fresher than Alonso's tyres behind him. And I'm aboard with Alonso, and to be honest, he's really keeping these tyres nice and calm. And to be honest, at this point in the race, Alonso, with the pit stops that's being made behind him, I think he's going to come out in a bit of clear air in 12th, to be honest.
Yeah, good news for... I think the thing with Alonso is, as much as you don't like following someone, sometimes it's handy just having that person in front of you for that brake reference, just so you get used to the track. And I think that's what we're seeing. Alonso, as we're going on through this race, seems to be getting more attuned to this circuit.
I think from qualifying to the race, he's definitely got a lot more confidence as well. Whether it's down to a lack of practice, as AJ completely cuts the top of turn 15 and Alonso nearly has a bit of a half spin as well. But in the matters for the lead of the race, Matt Tibos does lead Gary in second. A second is the gap. No DRS though for either of the front three. And Matt Tibos is in to the pit lane. I'll quickly ride on board with AJ, who's closing up on Cowboy. Cowboy, I think, as well, is going to come into the pit lane here. And yes, he does. AJ is now through, and he will be up into 5th position now out on track. But that is why these guys go later on in the race. Matt Tibos set us off compound of tyres, and I think he's going to be coming out just ahead of Zwedema, which is clear air for the McLaren man.
Yeah, and this is going to be... It's going to be fantastic for Matt Tibos. He's going to have so much more pace compared to the guys ahead of him. The question is, though, is he going to be patient with his overtakes? Because he does need to around this track.
I'm honestly questioning his strategy, to be honest. I think he should have stayed out at least a lap or two later than what's expected, because, I mean, we've seen on the pit graphic, there's 8 or 9 laps possibly on the set of soft compound of tyres. Now, that theory, he will make it to the end, but take into consideration the tyre deg around here in Baku. I have a sneaky suspicion those tyres won't make it. I don't know why. Well,
we'll have to wait and see on that one. Remember, they do have a lot less fuel on board now than at the start of the race. But the interesting thing is, Volokongan had a puncture on 8-lap-old softs.
And whether he got that from hitting the wall, or on his own accord, or ran over a bit of front wing damage or something, remains to be seen. So that being said, those guys that have just came in, Cowboy Alonso as well as Matt Tibos, will not make it possibly to the end of this race. But don't come at me in the comment section or anything like that. I think honestly those tyres will get to the end. I just have a sneaky suspicion that they won't. F1 AMG though on the back of Rostro, and Rostro I think is going to dive into the pit lane here, and he does, and F1 AMG is now through and he's up into 8th position. What could have been really, to be honest, for F1 AMG is he's going to be side by side I think with Sway coming out the pit lane, and in fact F1 AMG is ahead by Country Mile in the end by about 2 seconds. But what could have it been for F1 AMG out on track? He's in 8th position, he's on a set of mediums, those tyres are going to get to the end, but look at the red wall behind him.
Into turn 1, these two once again going at it. As you got Rostro coming out just ahead of these two, and they're still rear wing to front wing connected going through turn 2 there.
I think they're still going at it on the run down towards turn 3 as well.
Still going at it as we got Matt Tibos over the back of J. Cole for 5th.
Really caught onto the back of him as well. On a set of soft compound of tyres, J. Cole really under pressure here. Matt Tibos, honestly, is just going to be laughing at this stage. If I was in Matt Tibos' shoes, I'd be laughing because he's running all over the back of J. Cole, and he's only been on these tyres 2 laps, essentially. 1 out lap and then 1 proper lap here. And now he can have a go at J. Cole. He is just looking in behind. He's just out of the slipstream of J. Cole just to warn him he's there. And Matt Tibos is there for the... J. Cole is there for the taking. Matt Tibos now right on the back of him. Here he comes down the straight. Is he going to use up any overtake mode? No, he just sits there. He just laughs in that cockpit, and Matt Tibos is through, and he's up into 5th position, maybe one of the easiest moves you see. Sway has also gone through on F1 AMG, and the set of soft runners beginning to come into play. Sway through and he's up to 8th as Cowboy sets the new fastest lap.
Yeah, and the thing we have to keep an eye on now is how quickly that gap from Matt Tibos to AJ rapidly close down, and likewise with Sway and Zudema as well.
Well, Matt Tibos is 3.3 seconds off the back of AJ. Mashivo currently there in third position, but Gary, out on track, is pulling away from Seb. 1.5 seconds at a point where the mediums might not necessarily make it towards the end of the race. Seb is really beginning to struggle on that set of hard compound of tyres, and it's allowing Gary just an inch away at that advantage. 1.5 seconds is the gap. Seb, though, will try and close him down under any stretch of the imagination. Is it too mad for me to think Matt Tibos will not win this one? Because he's on a set of soft compound of tyres, he's got 2 guys to get before Seb and Gary, and the gap to the leader is 12.5 seconds. That's surely too much.
That's too much, I think. But for Matt Tibos to get the podium, maybe take his teammate off the...
James in the wall. James in the wall, reversing backwards, actually, out on track. He's got to get the car going again. As long as he can get that car going, I'm not sure what he's doing. This is the strangest thing I think I've ever seen. As he gets to the J-turn, and you can see the extent of his damage, and he's got no front wing as he cannot get out that wall.
We got Sway getting through onto Redeemer now into 7th place now for the Red Bull man. And the fastest lap to go with it.
Yeah, 140.7 as well out on track. And James has retired coming through the castle section. Is that going to bring out a safety car? That is on track. That might bring out a safety car. We'll see what's going to unfold. We've got 5 more laps to go. Whether or not it does remains to be seen. I think we would have seen one by now, to be honest. Matt Tibos 1.5 seconds behind AJ for 4th position, and he's got to try and close him down. Car has been disposed of, quite literally, out on track, and James now has retired from the race, obviously through the castle section, and there's no safety car. So we are still under green flag conditions. Gary leads, Seb in 2nd, Mashiro in 3rd. Look at Matt Tibos, though. He's all over the back of AJ already.
Yeah, Matt Tibos absolutely flying right now. The question is he going to be able to close down his teammate and get ahead of him? That's going to be the question now. 4.5 seconds between AJ and Mashiro.
And remember, Matt Tibos has not got a podium this season, or any season, in TTML. Remember that from the graphic earlier on? Yes, he hasn't got a podium, he hasn't got a race win onto his name, but here he is, right on the back of AJ, and this is really, I think, only going to go one way, because as soon as he opens up that overtake mode, again, he might not need it, but he uses it up just to draw alongside, and says bye-bye to AJ, and he's through, and he's up into 4th, and Matt Tibos making light work of one of the championship contenders, and Cowboy is through on F1 MG as well.
Yep, I was on board with that. Cowboy again right underneath that rear wing of F1 AMG as they run down the straight.
Oh,
and
Adamako, goodness me. Sorry to cut in, Mike, but Adamako, I thought he was going to have a go down towards turn 16. Out on track on Tionas. He's going for a fastest lap attempt, but I'm right on board with this one. Carry on.
I was going to say, am I going to be correct in my predictions?
I don't know. Are you going to be correct in your predictions? I've totally forgot what you predicted, to be honest.
Seb, Gary, and Matt Tibos.
Gary's just lost 0.4 of a second coming through the castle section, and it's now a second the gap. Nothing to alarm Gary or viewers and supporters of Gary, but Seb is closing in, and with more ERS as well. Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, and this was the risk of running the medium compound tyres. It got Gary the lead, but as we get to these final few laps, those mediums are not going to be as good as the hards, and this is going to be crucial for Seb just to get in that DRS, because if he can get in the DRS, he's just going to inch closer and time his overtake perfectly. As we got Sway on the back of J. Cole now, DRS wide open, and the move for P6 is done before we even get to the break-in, and Sway now up into 6th.
Cowboy is trying to make this a Red Bull gain of both positions because Sway obviously has just got through on J. Cole, and now Cowboy is right on the back as Wedema, and now the Irishman opens up the taps. What has the taps got to deliver? That's why. And that's it. Cowboy's through and he's up to 8th.
Yeah, so 6th down to 9th for checkerboard of Red Bull Alfa Romeo right now.
Yeah, look at the position gains actually out on the track. Sway's gained 9 from the start, from 15th on the grid. He's up to 6th, possibly in for a driver of the day vote from the in-game fans. Of course, you guys can get involved with your driver of the day by commenting that in the comment section as well. But with 3.5 laps to go and with a little bit of air of calm, let's have a run through the penalties, I think.
Okay, I'll get that up for you. So right now, Gary is clean. It's going to reassemble with just a 1 warning. Mashiro all clean. Matt Tibos all clean. AJ with a penalty, and that could be crucial for him coming the end of this race. Sway all clean apart from the 1 warning. J. Cole all clean.
Oh! Adamako, oh, he's nearly in the wall. Levan's nearly in the wall as well, coming to the castle section. Sorry to cut in. Adamako has... Well, I think Levan let him through, but Adamako is through and he's up into 13th, but both of them hit the wall, and I think Adamako's got winglet damage. Sorry to cut in.
I just had a little look on the... on everything, and the only person with a 3-second time penalty right now is AJ.
Down in 5th and, what, 2.3 seconds to Sway? I think that might go in Sway's favour, to be honest, out on track. As F1AMG closes right up to the back of Spadema. Hasn't been Spadema's night at all, but Spadema has only gained 1 position. F1AMG really hasn't been his night. He's lost 6 positions. Out on track, and the Ferrari against the Alfa Romeo. Essentially, think of it this way: 2020 Ferrari against the 2019 Alfa Romeo. I wonder who's going to come out on top. Seb, by the way, has got the gap down, 0.8 of a second out in front.
Yep, and this is where Gary is going to have to work the hardest now to try and keep ahead of Scuderia. Seb is down to 0.7 of a second, and Scuderia Seb now starting to use a little bit of his ERS now, and he will have DRS, and we'll see how much he's going to close up in. Matt Tibos 2 seconds off the back of his teammate, so maybe might not get his teammate, but Seb closing in. Not going to be close enough for the move, but he's going to be right up underneath as Rostro gets past Alonso for 11th.
And that was coming down the hill through turn 15 on the mini-map. So Rostro through and he's up into 11th. Alonso maybe overheating the tyres. We'll run on board with a battle for the lead though. F1MJ's looking quite close into Badema as well.
Yep, F1AMG DRS just cruises straight on past the Alfa Romeo.
So F1AMG makes light work, 2 lap pressure tyres, and they're coming into play. The Ferrari is through on the Alfa Romeo. He's through and he's up into 9th. But game time has now reached fever pitch. Gary against Seb for the win here in Baku. Mediums against hards. Hards you would favour at this stage of the race. Even though he's on the lap, all the tyres, Gary's tyres will probably be about 5, maybe even 10% more worn than Seb in behind. And Seb is mastering this strategy currently. He does not want to be in the lead going on to the final lap of the race. Gary is in that unfortunate position. He is leading, he might be leading the race going on to the final lap of the race. And this means game time, and this means, guys, for you who are viewing, really good action.
Yeah, and we got Sway closing up onto the back of AJ for 5th place, so he might not need the penalty. He's getting it done on track.
I mean, he's 9/10 off, so he will work away at that advantage going through. But now, Gary gets closed down. 0.6 of a second as they reach the DRS point for the penultimate time out on track. The final lap is about to begin here in Baku, and look at the overspeed. Seb wants this done down in towards turn 1. He's got to think about it around the outside of turn 1. No way from that far back. If he can get that move done. Brilliant stuff from Seb, and now Gary down on the inside through turn 2, shuts the door on him. Seb now on the outside line, Gary on the inside line. They're literally locked together as one as they run down towards turn 3. I did warn you guys there's going to be action, and Gary is forced back in front, but again Seb with the strategy call. He will not lead onto the final lap of the race, and this is why Seb is waiting in behind. He's got Gary's number here for sure.
Yep, and that DRS down to the finish line. We asked if we were going to see a 2017 repeat, Bottas and Stroll. We could be getting it here.
I'm rubbing my hands. It might be TTL F2 all over again. Remember, Toxic Blizzard back then. It's Gary and Seb this time. Sway, by the way, is right on the back of AJ. And I think they're down in towards the castle section, just before the castle section, out on track. So, Mike, if you can run on board with that, I'll focus on board with the battle for this lead. Yellow flag in Sector 3. It's Volakongan coming across the line. And he's actually in the pit lane. So, Volakongan into the pits. But now, Gary, 6 tenths. Is it enough for Seb to try and close up? Seb, 26% of EOS. Gary's got the same amount. And now they're going to be even Stevens towards the line. The only better time that Seb can find is with this DRS. He gets a better run through turn 18 and 19. He is literally using every sinew. He should have used it later on in the straight because Gary, I think, is going to come out on top of this one. Seb is closing him in, but Gary's going to hang on. Gary wins in Baku by 1/10.5 of a second. Seb in second. Matt Tebos is closing all the way to the line as well, and Mashiro gets third. Matt Tebos in fourth, and look at this, we could get a photo finish. Sway now with AJ. Oh, and Sway gets it by 2. It would have been if AJ didn't have that penalty. 2,000th of a second in favour of Sway, who got 5th. J Cole across the line there in 7th. There's Callboy, there's F1 AMGs with Dema Rostro now across the line to finish in 11th. He's glitched the timing boards, I think, because he's still continuing out on track. Alonso across the line in 12th. Adamako is going to come across the line in 13th. It's now counted Rostro in 11th, which is good to see. Adamako now running the final couple of corners and now coming across the line in 13th position. If you can get the interviews at the ready, that'd be fantastic stuff. As Levan on his debut is going to come across the line in 14th, using every sinew of that ERS left. And Levan's across the line in 14th. Tionis is now coming through the final couple of corners, and just in terms of the position gains out on track, 10 positions gained for Sway out on track. Gary gaining 2, Seb gaining 1. I made a prediction early on, just before we came live, that there'll be no Excel man on the podium. Yeah, look who's wrong. Terrible.
I mean, I was only wrong with the wrong McLaren.
The wrong McLaren. Yeah, Mashiro getting 3rd, Matsebos 4th, but Volakongan across the line. He's just revving out 6th gear as he comes to the line. It's not his day at all, but he finishes in the points, which is crucial, in 16th position. What a race, though, in Baku. It came down to 1/10.5 between Gary and... Sway gets the drive of the day, between Gary, of course, and Seb out on track, and it was Gary who came out on top. Sway gets the driver of the day vote as we see the Irishman to the top step of the podium. And I didn't realise he was that good looking here in the game. But Gary takes it out on top. I'm sure he's going to come at me in that one in the interview room. But Gary out on top, Seb in second, really fought right down to the nail of the wire. The only bit I've got to be concerned about is he uses ERS up too early. That's what cost him. Mashiro finishes in 3rd as well. But there is your result. Gary wins from Seb in 2nd. Mashiro finishing in 3rd. Really good, everyone. Good job on the penalty situation. Hardly any penalties to report, which is great. Sway there down in 5th. AJ with the only 3-second time penalty. Look at that gap. What it would have been. 2,000th of a second Sway would have got AJ for 5th. J Cole across the line in 7th with Callboy in 8th. F1 AMG in 9th with Dema in 10th. Rostro, good qualifying, disappointing race down there in 11th. Alonso in 12th. Adamako gets the fastest lap point in 13th, along with his points for that position. Levan in 14th. Tionis in 15th. Volakongan in 16th. And TRT James, the only non-finisher out on track. And it makes me wonder why he obviously crashed it out on track, but why he couldn't have gone for the fastest lap point that he could have stolen off his good rival out on track, Adamako. But that is it here in Baku, and Mike is getting everyone in as I speak, and really great race that.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race. Hopefully everyone can still hear me while I'm on the PlayStation menu.
They can indeed.
Sending these invites. But yeah, fantastic race. Went straight down to the wire, and that's what we love to see. So well done, Baku.
Well done, Baku. Well done to everyone, I think, out on track as well for delivering such a great race. It might have lacked in the safety cars and the VSCs. I think this is the first time I think I've ever commentated on a race around here where there hasn't been a safety car or a VSC. So that is probably a new one on my record anyways. But here in TTML, the action does continue, of course. Division 4 and Division 5 will be live for you tomorrow night. Graham Chappell and Corboy taking you through Division 4, with myself and Daniel Hoggard taking you through on Division 5, both of course from 8 PM UK time. Saturday, there's nothing really happening on Saturday. CRC still looking for commentators, so if you do want to join that and you've been inspired by this and you get inspired by the commentators webinar that's coming up as well, Jenny Gower hosting that of course with Jack Nichols and Andrew Colley and the rest, tune in for that on 3 PM Saturday as well. I might be in attendance for that, so that'll be really interesting. It'll develop me further as a commentator for sure, and everyone else if you're viewing in. But CRC, as I say, still waiting commentators for their 2 series, Saturday and Sunday. If you are interested, get in touch at Competitive Racing Club on Twitter, and you can of course follow myself and Mike on Twitter as well while you're at it. Mine is at B52Head, and Ivor Bryn Mike is your one, I believe.
Yep, at Ivor Bryn Mike, as we've been joined by Scuderia Seb.
We get Seb then in. I'm just going to wait to see if Gary joins in the next few seconds. If not, we'll conduct the interview with Seb first. He, of course, finished in 2nd position, and I've got one comment that I want to make just to Seb after that race. And I think Gary is not here just yet, so we'll crack on then with Seb's interview. And Seb, you are here, of course, 2nd place for you there in Baku. Why didn't you use up your ERS later down the straight?
I don't know. Maybe had a feeling you were going to ask that. But no, you're right. But yeah, I guess I just used it too early. I thought if I got the boost out the last corner, then I would have the momentum with the DRS. That was my thinking. I mean, you know, could have done it different, but I mean, the 10th difference, I mean, it's so close. So maybe if I got a bit of a better run off the last corner, then I would have made it. So yeah, oh well.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard knock, I think, just from that perspective. But overall, great race from you. Talk us through what happened there out on track, because you and Gary were having a real good set 2 on the final lap.
Yeah, I mean, during the first stint, I was just trying to create a gap out front. To be fair, I wasn't expecting Gary to go onto the mediums. That was a shock. I didn't think they'd make it, so he did really well to make them last. So I knew he'd have more grip in the first half of the stint, so I had a feeling he'd overtake me, but I knew I'd have more grip at the end, so I was just biding my time until the right moment, saved up my ERS and then made the attack. It didn't quite work, but yeah, that was my thinking.
Yeah, good race from you though, nonetheless. Mike, any questions?
Just a one. It seemed like Sway was your guardian angel there while Gary and you were battling, just being a little bit of a nuisance, keeping you relatively close to Gary to really launch an attack at the end. So what was your thoughts with trying to get through the traffic of those who haven't made their pit stops?
Yeah, Sway helped me a lot, because when I tried to get past him, I backed out, but he locked up, so it allowed me to go through. Otherwise I would have spent probably another lap behind and Gary would have pulled away quite a lot. But getting through the traffic was okay. I think I could have been a little bit more aggressive, but I didn't want to like knock off my front wing or something. You know, Baku's, with it being such a tight track and difficult track, I didn't really want to risk anything. So I was just being a bit cautious, but I got through it in the end, and yeah, Gary was ahead, but yeah, look, I was just happy to get through the traffic without losing an end plate or anything, because you know, at those moments when you're behind people going into the castle section, you don't know what could happen. So yeah, I'm just happy that I got through them.
Yeah, great stuff. And I got one question about qualifying. How did you find all that time in Sector 2?
Yeah, I know, I was like 2 attempts down on Sector 1 once or so. I went into the castle section, I was thinking to myself, right, screw it, you know, just go for it. I carried so much speed. I don't know how I got it stopped, to be fair. Carried the speed, got a really good exit as well. I was like, you know, don't mess this up now. So yeah, and then I made the third to last corner. I knew I had like a 10th in that as well, because I made a mistake on my overlap. So I gained like a 10th there, and then yeah, I was just happy. I didn't know whether it was going to be enough over the line, so when I crossed and got pole, I was really happy with it. But it could have been so much. It could have been probably like 2 or 3 attempts faster. So
yeah, it was a fantastic lap. You're gonna have to teach me how to do that.
Yeah, we'll set some up sometime.
Looking
Fantastic.
ahead, yeah, I was going to say, looking ahead then to France, which is going to be the track next week at the eyesore of the Circuit Paul Ricard. How do you think you're going to get on? Because I honestly think that's going to be a track that'll suit you down to an absolute T.
Maybe. I've always actually enjoyed it. A lot of people don't like France. I can see why, but I enjoy it. I think it's a pad track, so I won't be as strong. You know, the guys on the pad will be a lot faster, I think. But yeah, I've always had decent pace around there, so hopefully I can carry that on. I just need to find a bit more consistency in this league, and hopefully I can be up there fighting for the championship. So yeah, France, hopefully I can get a good springboard onto the next races.
I mean, you're following Gary pretty much in the championship, and with the guys ahead in the championship just falling foul tonight, I believe you go into 4th position, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, you're very consistent. I've got to be honest. Don't doubt yourself. Do not doubt yourself at all. That's the worst thing you can do. But going into France, yeah. I really hope you have a good race. I hope everyone else has a good race as well. Thank you, Seb. I'll go and let you enjoy your evening.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one, guys. See you in a bit.
See ya. And that is our one and only interview, because I've been informed that Gary's mic has broke. So he cannot join the party for his winner's interview, which is a shame. But hopefully he'll be getting a mic fix for next week. We might even get an interview done before the race next week, if we can try and fit that in amongst our very busy schedule, of course, as we go live in TTML once again. But that is it from us tonight. Mike, I will come to you for your final thoughts. Who, in your mind, was driver of the day?
It's got to be Matt Tibos. Fantastic drive from 11th. We made the strategy work, and he was flying at the end. I think another lap he might have got his teammate as well.
Yeah, really good stuff out on track. I've got to give it to Gary. I think he really controlled that race from the front. The only time he really didn't control that race was right at the end there, because Seb was gaining a 1/10.5 of a second behind, and honestly, just that close. If he used up that ERS that little bit later, he would have got him, I think. So, but that's racing. At the end of the day, it comes down to very thin margins, and you saw that here tonight in TTML Division 2. We are again live, as I say, for Division 4 and Division 5 tomorrow night. It is, of course, Graham Chappell and Cowboy taking you through Division 4, and then Division 5, it's myself and Daniel Hoggard. Please tune in. It's 8 o'clock. We're still in lockdown here in England anyways. Tune in, because you've got nothing better to do on a Friday night. Tune into both streams. Why don't you? Treat yourselves to the action around here in Baku. Thank you so much for everyone that has tuned in and everyone that's been supporting us throughout this season so far. Of course, next week we go to France, which is going to be a real test for the drivers. Well, we're going to end it here, though. Thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Please keep an eye on your family as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.